There's something I need to tell you. Something you were never meant to hear. Every decision you've ever made, every choice you thought was yours, may have been placed there by someone else. Pause. Silence. Not through force, not through obvious manipulation, but through a subtle, ancient technique, so quiet, so invisible, that it lives inside your own thoughts. And the strangest part, once you understand it, you can never unsee it. Music swells slightly, then drops to a low simmer. The whispering thread. I first heard about it in the dusty back room of a forgotten library, the kind of place where time feels thicker. The air was warm, still, as if it had been holding its breath for centuries. A book lay on the table, no title on the cover. Its pages smelled faintly of smoke and rain. Inside, drawings of spirals, waves, and strange symbols. And in the margins, handwritten notes from someone long gone, controlled the rhythm, and you controlled the choice. I didn't understand, at first, until I kept reading. It spoke of a mental rhythm, a way to set a person's thoughts on a track without them realizing. Not by telling them what to think, but by shaping what they notice, by feeding their mind only certain possibilities, and letting them choose from their free will. Reduced to a carefully trimmed garden, you walk the path. But the path was planted for you. The experiment, a book described an exercise, a demonstration of how easy it was to guide another mind. It went like this. You begin by asking someone an innocent question. Something ordinary? Something harmless? While they answer, you listen not to their words, but to their tone, their pauses, their hidden hesitations. Then, you plant a seed. A simple phrase, not a command, just a suggestion, something that blends into the conversation so naturally, they never notice it as foreign. Days later, you ask them a bigger question. One where the seed you planted quietly blooms, and they think the answer is entirely their own. The mind, it turns out, is not a fortress, it's a river, and rivers can be redirected. The turning point. I closed the book and sat there. 4 hours. The thought gnawed at me. How many of my own choices had been rivers redirected by unseen hands? That job I took, that person I trusted, that dream I gave up on, were they mine? Or had someone, somewhere, long before I noticed, planted the seed? And if they had, was I still free? Beneath the surface, soft, eerie strings drift in, like wind through hollow wood. I began noticing it everywhere. The pauses people took before answering, the way certain ideas seemed to appear in my head, fully formed, with no memory of where they came from. Billboards, news headlines, even the rhythm of a friend's casual stories. It was as if the world was a garden, and my thoughts were flowers growing in neat, invisible rows. The book called it the art of the whisper. Not a literal whisper, but a shaping of attention. Because attention is the currency of choice. And if someone decides what you pay attention to, they've already decided what you'll ignore. The technique in action. Here's how it works. First, you create tension. A question without an answer. A gap in someone's understanding. The mind hates unfinished patterns, and will keep searching until it feels complete. Second, you offer the completion. An idea, a perspective, a subtle framework that fits perfectly into that gap. The person takes it, gratefully, and because the mind prefers stories, it completes itself. They believe they found the answer on their own, and once an idea feels self-discovered, it becomes almost impossible to challenge. The moment of realization. I tested it once. A friend was debating whether to quit their job. I didn't tell them what to do. I just kept asking questions, each one framing the problem in a way that led toward a single outcome. A week later, they called me. They'd quit. They thanked me for helping them realize what they truly wanted. But the truth is, I'd given them a trail of stepping stones, and they'd followed it, without ever looking up. That was the moment I understood how dangerous this was. Because once you know how to guide another's thoughts, you can do it without them ever noticing, and the line between influence and control becomes dangerously thin. The moral weight for days, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Not about the power, but about the responsibility. If minds can be steered so easily, how do we protect our own? And how do we choose when to steer someone else's? The book didn't answer that. It simply ended with one final sentence, written in uneven, hurried ink. The mind is a mirror. You can change its reflection, but be ready to face your own. The closing reflection. So, here's what I'll leave you with. Pay attention to what you pay attention to. Question the origin of every certainty you hold. Ask yourself, who planted this seed? Because in a world where thoughts can be whispered into you without your knowing, true free will begins with a single skill, the ability to catch the moment. Just before the seed is planted, music fades to a low, steady hum, a long, reflective pause, and sometimes, that moment is the only freedom you'll ever have.